It's time for the Multifamily Network Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's start the party.
Welcome to the Multifamily Network, the #1 platform for the multifamily industry's hottest and trending topics. I'm your host, Matt Pasalacqua. Let's dive in and get this party started. All right, everyone, welcome to another fully packed episode of the Multifamily Network Show and Podcast. Today it is Keith Vermillion and myself coming and bringing you some jam-packed topics to go over what is important to the people in the multifamily space, primarily tenants, right? So that's what we're going to be covering today is what is important to the tenants in a multifamily tenant environment. Before we dive in, let's get some intros going. If you don't remember from episode 1, we have Keith Vermillion, Senior Vice President of Blueport, on with us today to help us unpack this stuff. Keith, how the heck are you? How was your week? And anything that I missed? Did I miss anything there? What we're covering today?
No, it's been a good week, productive week. Lots of things moving along, right? We're obviously getting into the holidays. Things start to slow down. People start to take some time off, as is probably well deserved. But it's good. It's good. I think if I could change anything, I think people would understand how to get on elevators. But that might be a different topic for a different day.
Let's unpack that a little bit now. What are you talking about? I'm just going to twist the knife.
You can only ever fit so many people in an elevator. So there's absolutely no reason that you and your buddy need to be standing shoulder to shoulder when the doors open, right? Just kind of back away, let people off the elevator.
You mean in front of the elevator, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
One should not stand right in front of the lift door, but to the side.
Completely blocking it because they're in such a hurry to get on that they don't have time to let you off. And it irritates me to death. It happened just a couple of minutes ago. I'm running late. I'm like, dude, I just got to get up here and go to get off the elevator. And these two boneheads, and then they always just stand there like lobotomy patients staring at you. It drives me crazy.
Like the audacity to and you know what's funny is we've probably all been guilty of it once or twice, but that's all it should take to learn,
but
right?
You back away nicely. Hey, that's my bad. I was looking at my phone.
And as in all other forms of public transport, those leaving the vehicle always have priority.
You don't stand there like a bump on the wall.
What do we do? Are you getting off? And I got to get up? Oh, that's right. People get off and on.
Drives me crazy. It's just common, just respect the people around you. But
you know what mine is? I could piggyback on that a little bit, and I swear we'll start unpacking these topics. But for me, it's what side of like maybe a hallway or an entrance do you enter and exit on? I'm born and raised. I'm a veteran. True red, white, and blue. Son of America here. Son of immigrants, and just been red, white, and blue ever since. But I'm walking on the right side of anything. Like for instance, going into the gym locker room, right? I'm standing to the right and I'm going in, and sure enough, there's someone on their left side heading out, and all I can think of is, and we stare at each other like a stare down, like whoa, 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 like right. Someone's got to move, and all I'm thinking is I'm on the right side of the road, so I'm not going to move. But Adam, of course I do.
So we're clear. Your argument is not that you're never allowed to walk on the left side. The argument is when you're coming head on with somebody, default to what's natural for where you are. If we're in the UK, go to the left, right? That's fine.
And of course I move. I'm not a jerk. Especially you see, I'm like, let me get out of your way, of course. Right. But you know what I mean? But I'm thinking, if we both would have just stuck to what instinctive, like how we drive on the road, I think it all would have went great.
I don't disagree with you. Fortunately, Matt, we are not here to talk about things that irritate us. Though, take a second.
Oh, yeah.
We do have a link on the website. So if you go to loveyournetwork.com or blueportwireless.com.
Yeah, or tmnpodcast.com.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Sorry, missed one. You can submit a topic if there's something you want to hear about, if there's a topic you want to learn about. Of course, our goal is going to be to have additional guests on the podcast as we go throughout. But also, there's a lot of funny stories that come out of multifamily,
There
right?
is.
And we'd love to hear those too. We'll read them out. We'll let you have a little rant. And if you just want to be on the show to talk about it, that'd be a good spot to do it. But yeah, just hit the add a topic or suggest a topic, and just put your information in. I'd be glad to.
No, I love that you brought that up. We absolutely needed to get that plug in there. So yeah, so for everyone listening, if you want to be on the show, have something to cover, or like Keith said, you just share your rant, just title it rant and put, hey, this is what's funny to me. Those who know Keith and I know our wives are also in multifamily, believe it or not. We're not just multifamily nerds ourselves. We're a family of multifamily executives and professionals. So even our wives and families are in multifamily. So they come home with stories that I'll call up Keith even on the weekend and go, you got to hear what my wife just told me. This is hilarious, right? So anyway, y'all.
People are great till they're terrible. All right, let's dive in. What do you got for us today, Matt? We're talking about what residents love or what they're looking for, right?
Yes, not what we hate or what we find annoying, but what residents love. And look, I'm really excited about this because I think what happens in the industry is we focus on what do new tenants want, right? What are the top 5 things or 4 things or 3 things that they want? And then we completely go on the other side of it and go, hey, what makes tenants stickier? But what's never combined, and which one study and research did. So this research is showing that both what people take in consideration of what they love when they're looking for a new apartment to live in, as well as when they're renewing their lease, which you could call being a stickier resident. But what I loved about it was specific. This research was specific about the identical top, really for this is top 4. They both had a top 5, but the top 4 matched and overlapped identically to what people look for and love when considering a new place to live, as well as when renewing their lease. So very, very interesting. So not just what tenants love may be career tenant people, meaning if I'm living in, a city, let's call it Chicago, let's call it Boston, let's call it New York, let's call it downtown LA, and I'm a career,
all those things at once.
All those things at once. Right. I'm a career, multi dwelling unit person, right? A multi-tenant person. And I see the value in, hey, you unplug the toilet and you change the light bulb, right? I'm a tenant and I've gotten comfortable in my space, and my apartment was built in 1995. I visit someone that just got in a new, let's call it Holland or Prometheus project in San Francisco or Seattle or something. And I go, holy smokes, look at what I'm not going to go into it yet because I'm going to list them, but look at what you have here. When my lease comes up for renewal, I'm also going to consider looking at these things. And here they are. I'm going to list them out and then we'll unpack them. So Keith, unless you want to have the honors, do you want to list them out? I can list them out.
No, you go ahead. Okay. You got the list. You did the research.
Okay. So research shows, right? And this is just one of them. There's tons out there, but a lot of them align with this. And here's the top 4 that they both look for. I believe these are in order of highest priority to lowest. So I'll start with highest. Package lockers, which is a phenomenal topic right now because I don't know when this will get released, but today it's mid-December, so holiday season, right, of gifts. Number 2 is smart home technology and features. There's a whole bunch listed under that. I won't name it all right now of what's considered smart home, but we'll unpack that in a minute. But number 2 is smart home. Number 3 is pet friendly. And more interesting enough, the research goes into detail of what tenants define as pet friendly. That's going to be important as we unpack it because I find that one of the most interesting of all. And the 4th is outdoor spaces. Now, the reason I'm not doing 5 is because, again, these 4 had it in common both when renewing a lease and looking for a new apartment as well. There was different considerations as well as amenities that were looked at for when you're looking for a new apartment. When looking for a new apartment, number 5 was the fitness center, and the consideration was price. The consideration for renewal was distance from work and doorbells, right? For them to be able to install or get included with their rent, smart doorbells or something like Ring or Owl or something like that, right? Which that could be put into smart home, but we won't dive into that right now. But that's the reason there's not 5. There's 4, plus it'll keep it a shorter show for everybody. We'll be able to stay on topic and get you guys a quick episode to listen on the transport here. So, Keith, I'm going to turn it over to you. The first one, let's unpack. Pun intended. Wow, that was corny. Package lockers.
Yeah,
right?
That was pretty bad, man.
That was bad. So
bad.
Last episode was pretty.
I'm glad you're laughing at yourself. Nobody else
pretty
did.
bad. Well, my
Um,
wife listens to this, and my mother, they'll like it.
there you go.
But okay, like everyone, if they listen to the last episode, we did on OpTech review, right?
Mhm.
And package lockers is one of those things, and I'm gonna send it over to you, which really only broke into the scene as far as, you know, there being exhibitors there to push only that technology, right? I'm gonna shut up now, but that was one of those things Eric Spring had said, hey, it's really cool to see how things have evolved, like want to have, must have, and cool to have. And this has quickly become a must have. So it's number one on here. Keith, take it away. What are your thoughts on that? We'll go into what the research shows, but what's our general opinion? What have our wives said about it? Go.
No, I get it. I get it completely. A lot, I think if you looked at the way they're building apartments these days, they're far different too than they were back in the day, right? The closed hallways, it's not open breezeway anymore in a lot of communities, especially the more urban you get, right? So then all of a sudden, is UPS walking this all the way to your door? So your only risk of losing a package is your neighbor? Or are they leaving this at an exterior door? Well, then the risk is any passerby. And of course, people try to walk more now and ride bikes, which means you've got more foot traffic and more opportunity for somebody to just pick something up. And then from an apartment's perspective, think about it, the manpower, and I'm sure you've heard your wife gripe about it, the number of packages that come in and get dropped at the leasing office, right?
Yep.
And then you get home at 6:30, 7 o'clock. How late's the leasing office open? And I get why residents are looking for it. And I think that these properties are probably happily picking up that technology. I would imagine.
And I think what's important here to point out is this is feedback and research based on tenant. We're not talking about these are the top 4 or 5 that properties are absolutely, they are adopting this. Don't get me wrong, but this didn't come from, I'll drop, I'm not going to drop names. It's not like, this 3-letter REIT over here, right?
Right.
This research came out and said, this is what we're adopting. This is research and feedback directly from tenants that are long-term multifamily people, meaning they see the value in it, whether it's a condo or an apartment. They want to live in multifamily for 10 years or longer, right? So I should have pointed that out before. But to your point, Keith, yes, I mean, that's huge. So from a tenant perspective, and now from a multifamily, professional like my wife has said, yes, she loves the idea of package lockers. When she's worked in communities where they don't have them, she's always recommended go to Kohl's, go to your Safeway, go to your places that have these lockers if you're worried about it, and have them delivered there, because that's going to be your best bet. Yeah. Now there is the mailroom, right? And like, let's just take it, a gripe that came from my wife the other day, or maybe it wasn't a gripe, it was more or less her heart was going out to people, because what's happening this time of year especially, she's happy to accept them in the leasing office. She'll have them come in there. She'll put them in a room. But if you go on Amazon right now, and this is for anybody that's doing shopping on Amazon for the holiday season, and that is, you can pick these windows of time of preferred delivery times, not guaranteed, but preferred delivery time. And it doesn't, to your point, always match up with the leasing office hours and everything else like that. And what had happened, what she had come home, back to that story, the feedback she gave was, unfortunately, they left all these packages in the mailroom. Now, the mailroom, you technically do need access to the property to get to, but at the same time, you don't know whose boyfriend or girlfriend or brother, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, somebody twice removed is visiting or had access or hopped a fence to get into that mailroom, and they're dealing with what we refer to as porch pirates, right? And they're stealing them from the mailroom, and it's unfortunate. So something that solves for that are these package lockers, right? So I can definitely see the draw. Any more feedback on that one? And we did pretty good. I think we covered that one in 3 minutes and 40 seconds.
No, I think that, I think what people are looking for, and it'll show itself again on the next topic of smart homes, is they're looking for freedom, right? And that's why they order offline, because they don't want to go to the store and have to shop around and bump into people that don't know how to walk down an aisle or get off an elevator, right? They just want to get their stuff. But then they don't want to have to sit at home either and wait for it, right? Which is why Lowe's Foods, Whole Foods, Kohl's, Safeway, there's so many of them now. I think you listed some earlier that you can go to get your package. So, But yeah, dive into the next one because it's exciting too. I think it's
no, for sure, for sure. And I think a good segue into that is also, I mean, if folks who know us know that we're on the tech side and support side of things. When it comes to some of these package lockers, I will say there has been an increase, and we've seen it, right? Keith, you always refer to something funny. People give us a call and want to know how to hook up their smart kitty litter box, right?
That's a real thing that happens.
Yeah, but I mean, I would say that these package lockers are absolutely something separate from smart home, but also the same as they need an IoT network or something from a smart home or community connectivity perspective to operate on some separate IoT network, right? To be able to be connected. So that's a perfect segue into smart home because that kind of falls into our wheelhouse as well. But just for the feedback on the package lockers, we are seeing an increase just from being industry professionals that assist in the connectivity to these things, that we are seeing more REITs and more properties adopting this and needing support to connect them. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's not. I think it feeds, that portion of the conversation. It feeds right into what we're talking about next, and that's just the overall need for connectivity. But
yeah. So smart home. So I alluded to the smart home technologies and features. So here are the things that were listed under it. Seamless connectivity and managed Wi-Fi, right? Of course, right? If you guys don't know what managed Wi-Fi is, we'll unpack that. Access control, right? And access control from a hub sublocation without app fatigue, which we'll get into that as well, right? So they want to be able, so basically they want to be able to use their phone to access the gate, access the fitness center, access everything else, as well as control their unit, their connectivity experience, and everything from the palm of their hands on their device, right? And there's a lot of different solutions and features out there. And the reason I mention app fatigue is they don't want 500, they'll deal with it. But the consideration is we don't want have to use 500 different apps to do it. If we're going into a community that is adopting these smart home features and technologies, we want one centralized app that does it all. I'm going to pause there. You want to unpack that a little bit too, Keith? I'll kind of kick it back over to you.
No, I haven't looked into this study deeply, so I hope I'm not about to offend somebody I like a lot. But they did not interview a single resident that used the word app fatigue, and they did not interview a single resident that said managed Wi-Fi. Right? I think that's where industry professionals. Right. I think we assign things. Better put, it needs to be easy to get on the internet. Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to download your app. Right. I mean, that's really what people are saying. And we just have to make it easy. And then we assign these big terms and we make it difficult. And it doesn't have to be. I think it's reasonable because, again, I think what people are looking for is just that freedom. Right. Don't tether me to now I got to call somebody. Now I got to sit around and I got to wait till they bring something out to that. They don't want that. They don't want it at all. Maybe if it makes their life better because they waited, they take the wait. But they just want to connect, No,
I'm glad the way you unpacked that, because really that does make it a lot easier to explain, because a lot of the feedback we hear from ownership groups and everything else like that is, hey, we've made these things available, whether it's on a bulk or retail basis for whatever service it is, right? Hey, we're going to allow you to install your own doorbells if you want. We're going to allow you can get this key fob if you want it.
Right.
You have 6 internet providers to choose from. I'm exaggerating a little bit. Or you have this, you put it perfectly, the ease of it. Ease of it. I don't want to have to call 50 million people. I don't want to have to use 50 million different apps. I don't consider that as a tenant, and I'm speaking as if I'm them, a seamless, easy experience to utilize these smart features.
Yep, I agree. I think that it's another example of us getting in our own way, right?
Yeah.
Where what do they want at the core of it? And we can deliver that, but then we put labels on it, and then you've got these property owners running around saying, oh, how do I get that? You don't need that, right? You need to give them what they want, and that's the more important conversation to have.
And this next example I'm going to give will be a perfect segue actually into the next topic, which was pet friendly. So I was moderating
Yeah,
a
I'm
panel.
interested to talk about that. I
Yeah.
haven't seen a non-pet friendly apartment community in a long time.
Yeah. Well, here's the way tenants defined it, and I'll get to that in a
Okay.
second. But kind of marrying these two topics together of, hey, this is available to you. Why don't you use it this way versus ease, right? So I
Mhm.
was moderating a panel in San Francisco for BizNow, and two major developers out in that area, both Oakland and San Francisco, were two CEOs, right? And like Eric said in the last episode, it's great when you get those types of folks on panel. And this will make sense here in a second. But basically, what one said is, I find it very interesting the desire as well as how fast occupancy fills up when we include dog washing stations. And the other CEO replied with, well, we have a dog washing station equipped in every single unit. And he kind of queued it up, and the guy looks over, he goes, what do you mean? He goes, they're called bathtubs. And the whole room, it was great. They went back and forth a little bit. But to your point, here's the example. Do I think I want it, or do I know that I want it? Or is it easier to walk my dog out, walk him up the steps in a big basin sink? I'm not stinking up my apartment. It's easy. It's easy. Yeah. Could I wash him in a bathtub? Yes. Do I want to?
Here's the other part to that, Matt. Like, this is what would be interesting, is to study how often those are actually used, right? Because
not my area of expertise, but I would be interested. Yes, I want to know what's
and here's why I say that, because like any amenity, and you probably look at your car and it's got amenities on it that when you bought the vehicle, you thought, oh, that's cool. You haven't used it since the first day, right? I've got that I've got this smart washer and dryer from Samsung. Yep. And so you put them on the internet. I spent, the time it took. Now I've got the app. I finally deleted the apps because I don't care when the clothes have 5 minutes, right? But from an apartment community's perspective, hey, look, you're selling the dream, right?
Yeah.
So here's that dog station. Here's that dog washing station. Just imagine every Saturday morning, you bring Fido down, you cup of coffee, and you wash the dog. It doesn't matter that in reality, you're a little bit hungover on Saturday morning, and you'd really rather call the mobile dog groomer and spend the $50. They're selling a dream, and that's where I think that a lot of these amenities have the value. All right, sorry, pet friendly. How are they defined, like I said, pet friendly?
Good segue, right, into pet friendly. Here's the thing, okay?
Yep.
This is the way tenants, according to this research, defined pet friendly. Don't tell me I can have a pet, right? Okay. Let me take 2 steps back. Okay. You claim that you're pet friendly, right? Okay. You say, oh, you can have a pet. Then they say, great. What kind of pet? They say anything but a goldfish, anything with standing water, has to be a cat, no dogs, or dogs, no cats. If it is a dog, it can't have this for all these limitations, right? And I don't want to get into the politicalness of breed restrictions, but they did put that in there, right? I don't want to offer my opinion on it. I don't think there's any bad dogs. I just think there's bad people, but I digress. Anyways, they don't want to see breed restrictions. They don't want to see that they have to pay 16 times the deposit. I'm exaggerating, but according to them, a $500 average deposit and under is acceptable, but twice the rent or something like that is completely unfeasible. They don't want to have to carry insurance on their pets. They don't want to have to sign up for things like doggy DNA or have their dog's blood drawn. And I don't know if you remember that feature, but that's out there as well. Basically they're saying, if you're telling me I can have a pet and that you're pet friendly, and here's the other kicker, and they said this was, aside from those things, this was the number one consideration. Don't put so many limits on where I'm allowed to take them. Now, I haven't been involved in this particular subject enough to know whether they are or aren't allowed in the main common area, leasing office. I don't see the value of having a dog in a fitness center, but anyways, unpack it from there. Help me out here. Like, I'm just talking on it because it was there, but I can see someone's point. Now, I got a dog. I'm in a house. It's been a while since I was personally in an apartment living there, on a full-time basis aside of things like that. But what do you think?
Well, I'm making a note. I do tend to side with the tenant there, right? I mean, that's your home. Who cares what you have in there? Yeah, well, except for snakes, I think those should probably be illegal. But I mean, I don't know. I guess I tend to side with the tenant there. But I do think we should have a property manager on to talk about some pet horror stories, because I'm sure that there's elements of that I'm not thinking about. I guess if your dog's peeing on the carpet and stuff like that, then yeah, you could real quick spend $3,000 or $4,000, fixing things. So I guess I get where that's coming from, but I don't know, maybe no livestock is the better, no reptiles, no livestock, and I could get down with those restrictions.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that I think there's always two sides of every coin, right? That analogy is used because there's two sides to every coin. This is a double-headed coin, right? And here's the thing. Okay. When I read I don't want to have to carry insurance, I don't know if they meant specifically because their breed is considered an aggressive breed and they want liability insurance, or were they talking your renter's insurance has to include an extra this in the policy because you have an animal, right? So you're going to have.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'll tell you this though, Matt. Like, I get why people are scared of Rottweilers and pit bulls and Germans.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
I get
one
it.
of those dogs goes rogue, they do a lot more damage
than a Chihuahua, right? Yeah.
But I don't know anybody who's ever been bitten by one of those dogs. I give you a list of people, but then the people that get bit by Chihuahuas or those little wiener dogs, or it's always those little mutts who, when they're 6 months old, the owner thinks it's cute that he thinks he's a big bad dog while he bites on your leg, and then now he's got sharp teeth. And I have a higher fear for the little dogs, mostly too because then you look like a real jerk when you punt a little dog across the room because he bit you. Whereas at least if a Rottweiler took you by the leg, they'd understand you freaking out. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like the dog restrictions, but I don't own apartments either. So,
but and that's the thing. I try to put myself in the position of a landlord, of not just a landlord, but a multi-tenant. Let's say it's 500 doors, skyscraper, downtown LA, Seattle, Portland, wherever, Chicago.
Right.
You could very easily have 250 pit bulls, right? And look, I'm a pit bull lover. I'm just gonna transparently say it. I love them. I've got one that's been the best dogs I've ever had, but I'm a different person. But I can tell you, I've been at dog parks where people that had no business owning certain dogs, my dog's gotten mauled, never bitten a single person. No dog I've ever had has ever bitten, but they have been attacked. And I've been on the receiving end of that, so I get it. And if I'm a landlord and I got 250 dogs, living at a 500 units, there's some considerations there, right? I mean, so, look, I don't know, one way or the other, it is your home. There's got to be some considerations. I don't see an issue with, and we're getting the weeds a little bit too much maybe here, but I don't see the issue of telling a tenant, hey, look, if you're going to have a pet of any kind of pet, if you are going to have a fish bowl in there, I want your policy to have some extra water damage. If that aquarium breaks, right, and it leaks into the unit below, that could be $10,000 in damage really quickly. You want that goldfish? you want those mini sharks, you want those whatever, you do bloodletting with leeches. I don't know what you do, but whatever it is that you do, you're gonna have standing water in there that's out, outside the bathtub and taking a shower. You need to have some insurance. I don't have a problem with that. That you probably should anyways, even if you owned your own home, if you have standing water, So
probably a good idea.
Anyway,
I will tell you, I had a rental house for a while. And the guy had a Doberman, and that Doberman was the best part of his family.
Yeah.
The rest of the family couldn't do anything. All right.
And
what's our next one?
The next one is, and again, maybe it's a perfect segue in because pet friendly included things like having a dog run or a dog park, right? But that transitions to outdoor spaces. And I found this one interesting, and maybe because I'm an outdoorsman in general, right? And I'm thinking, go outside. But again, thinking to your urban environment, your high density, highly populated MDU cities, this is important, right? So outdoor spaces, and as the tenants define them, right? Again, this is tenants definition. They did say some form of rooftop amenity is awesome. That became a high fad over the past 10 years, right? I can't even believe it. I can say that because it feels like it was yesterday, but rooftop amenities are huge right now, right? Dog runs, huge right now. People even want Wi-Fi in the dog areas. It's crazy. Like, I want to sit on my phone for a while. I want to watch Netflix in the dog area. So not only that, they want cameras out. They want all this stuff. And also outdoor networking areas, more barbecue spaces, more, you know, bocce ball, racquetball, anything that's outdoors they want more of.
Yep.
Which you know, I can see the point of, but at the same time, I'm trying to remember, was there a time other than the population of rooftop amenities that were only the elite of the elites, and now everybody seems to be doing it, where there wasn't like outdoor amenities and barbecues and stuff? Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm thinking I saw more of them than I did, but does there seem to be too little of outdoor spaces and communities today? What do you think what's your opinion on that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think back on apartment living, and I mean, my first apartment didn't have very much outdoor space. You had the pool, right?
The pool, maybe a barbecue or something. Yeah, grill.
The pool had a grill. And you California people, what y'all call barbecue? A grill is not a barbecue, just so you know.
Cooking pollution, I think, is the common phrase in California.
I'll bring you to North Carolina and explain to you what barbecue is. But no, I mean, pets are much bigger than they were 20 years ago. You know, having dogs and the accessibility of where you take them. I mean, so I see why that would grow.
And we are seeing more pet-friendly communities. Maybe not as defined by tenants, but I am seeing way more. I mean, I'm talking urban city, downtown Seattle, downtown. I mean, started more on the East Coast. They adopted it more out west, right? Where it's like you can have this great Pyrenees inside a 600-foot apartment. They're like, if you want to do that, you go right on ahead. No restrictions on weight or fur or anything. Where are you going to take? You're right. 20 years ago, that really wasn't a thing.
No, I don't think so. I'll say this though. I think we live in a much more pet-friendly society. You know, when I was a kid, the dogs didn't come inside. Right. That's just the way it was. And now the dog never goes outside. You know, just use the bathroom and come back in. Now we lived in Florida, so it was, you know, easier to leave your dog out year round without, you know, looking like a terrible human. But that's just the way it was, you know. And maybe it was for where I lived, but I don't remember dogs being in the house a lot.
Yeah, just like I think the first two, connected package lockers and smart home, kind of connect a little bit. I think these next two kind of connect a little bit. And I think if I was an apartment owner, and if you're an apartment owner out there, a REIT or anybody, please go to the website at tmnpodcast.com or comment on this on YouTube if you're watching it there, on Spotify, whatever. Yeah, I would love to know your opinion on it all, because it seems like they all overlap.
This would be interesting. I wonder if that outdoor space even made the list 4 or 5 years ago.
You know what? I'm not sure. I'm
and
not
the reason
sure.
I would
That's
ask
interesting.
that is because during COVID, you're trapped at the apartment complex. How do you get out to do anything? And suddenly that starts to make a resurgence that it would be nice to be able to go outside, make a burger, relax a little bit. You know.
True.
So I just want I know it's
you,
affected the technology space. It's got to affect the living space.
I will tell you, there's research that came out of the East Bay that said since COVID, people are looking for larger networking, both indoor and outdoor areas for flexible workspace.
Yeah.
In regards to flexible
100%.
workspace. So they're looking for more larger and friendly flexible workspace. That includes all of this. Is it outdoor? Is it indoor? Is there smart technology? Is there connectivity issues? Is there all this stuff? Can I work in a flexible, seamless way? And that was that was specifically research out of the Bay Area.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's similar everywhere, but you're right. Did these make the list, pre-COVID? That would be an interesting thing to find out.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think that's affected the way people want to live and what they want to have at their apartment community. But
Right. I mean, it's even affected commercial leases where people go, "Hey, what happens during a shutdown? Right? I don't get paid, you don't get paid."
100%.
Awesome. Well, I think we knocked these ones out. We're right at the time that we wanted to be at, to be completely honest with you. It gives people time to consume the content on their drive home or listen or whatever, and everything else.
The
I
research,
think we've accomplished that. Yeah.
The research has shown, and by research, I called my mom and asked her how long she could talk to me and stay interested. She said it was about 30 minutes. So we need to keep it right about there, because if my mom can't talk to me that long, I know nobody else wants to.
That's right. That's right. So, without further ado, I'll just make a couple announcements for the next few shows. I know I had mentioned on the last podcast that we were going to dive into things like the dangers of calling internet a utility. What's everyone's opinion on that? Both from I would love to hear. Maybe we have the wives on in the future. I think that would be awesome. They can hear from actually property level opinions, and then it's from industry nerds like us, from some different angles. But yeah, that'll be one of the shows coming
I'm
up.
super interested to hear that, by the way. I was surprised by the results of that poll you put out there on LinkedIn. I have a predisposition to it that I'll swallow and go through the conversation with some folks on. Interested to hear.
Well, I'll plug this. I don't want to give too much away, but I will tell you that the majority, I'm not going to give but a massive majority of people answered the polls said it absolutely should be a utility. And I will tell you, it was from the opinions of people that you would think would comment otherwise based on, I'm just going to say, job and industry security. I don't care. I'm not going to give any more away.
But I was blown away. I'm interested in that episode and what that unpacks to and what the thought process is. I'm also interested in what I hope we do is do a very good job between distinguishing managed Wi-Fi and just internet connectivity, right?
Yes, right.
Would those votes change if it were strictly managed Wi-Fi? I don't know the answer. I hope I know the answer, but I thought I knew the answer to the first one. So
well, exactly, and with so many apartment REITs and developers, ownership groups, capital venture groups, and everything that create these multi-tenant environments and make them happen, and create housing for folks, moving to that model, even they have some of those questions. So I think it'll be something that a lot of people will tune into and have some questions on themselves, and we'll have people outside of us talking about it as well. So people
probably a good idea since neither one of us are legal experts,
right? Exactly. So exactly. So, well, listen, Keith, it's been great catching up and going over this. We talk every day anyway. We're just forcing other people to listen to us now. But listen, I hope you all enjoyed the show. Again, TMN podcast.com, BlueportWireless.com. You can find our podcast on there. There's a description for the show as well as where to recommend topics or even just submit a rant. Please take the opportunity to do that. We're looking forward to having a lot of guests on this show. We've already got some queued up. Don't want to give out any more plugs. Just look forward to this. Probably receive an episode every 2 weeks or so. Look forward to that. Subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to, and we'll go from there. Hope everybody has a fantastic day.
Excellent.